Hello friends, this is Manohar Veera from Examling. In this session, we are going to see about Indian architecture introduction. One of the most enduring achievements of Indian civilization is undoubtedly its architecture. Indian architecture, which has evolved through centuries, is the result of socio-economic and geographical conditions. Different types of Indian architectural styles include a mass of expressions over space and time, transformed by the forces of history considered unique to India. As a result of vast diversities, a vast range of architectural specimens have evolved, retaining a certain amount of continuity across history. The major types of architectures found in India are Colonial Architecture, Indo Islamic Architecture, Ancient Architecture, Cave Architecture, Rock Cuts, Temple Architecture. First, we will see about the Colonial Architecture. Like all other aspects of society, the colonization of India also had a great impact on architecture. Colonization marked a new chapter in Indian architecture. Though the Dutch, the Portuguese, and the French made their presence felt through their buildings, but it was the English who had a lasting impact on architecture of India. In the beginning of the colonial rule, there were attempts of creating authority through classical prototypes. In its later phase, the colonial architecture culminated into what is called the Indo-Saracenic architecture. The Indo-Saracenic architecture combined the features of Hindu, Islamic, and Western elements. The colonial architecture exhibited itself through institutional, civic, and utilitarian buildings such as post offices, railway stations, rest houses, and government buildings. Such buildings began to be built in large numbers over the whole empire. Colonial architecture in India followed developments not only from metropolis but also took inspiration from existing architecture in India. The best examples of colonial architecture are Santhom Church in Chennai, All Saints Cathedral, Allahabad, St. George's Cathedral, Chennai, Gold Market, New Delhi, Medak Cathedral, Telangana. Now we will see about the Indo Islamic architecture. The medieval period saw great developments in the field of architecture. With the coming of Muslims to India, many new features came to be introduced in buildings. The development of Muslim-style architecture of this period can be called the Indo-Islamic architecture or the Indian architecture influenced by Islamic art. The Indo-Islamic style was neither strictly Islamic nor strictly Hindu. The architecture of the medieval period can be divided into two main categories. They are the Delhi or Imperial style and the Mughal architecture. The imperial style developed under the patronage of Sultans of Delhi. The Mughal architecture was a blend of Islamic architecture of Central Asia and the Hindu architecture of India. The best examples of Indo-Islamic architecture are Qutub Minar, New Delhi, Alai Darwaza, New Delhi, Agra Fort, Agra, Taj Mahal, Agra, Red Fort, New Delhi. We'll now see about some information on ancient architecture in India. Indian architecture is as old as the history of this civilization. The earliest remains of recognizable building activity in the India dates back to the Indus Valley cities. Among India's ancient architectural remains, the most characteristic are the temples, Chaityas, VIHARAS, STUPAS, and other religious structures. In ancient India, temple architecture of high standard developed in almost all regions. The distinct architectural style of temple construction in different parts was a result of geographical, climatic, ethnic, racial, historical, and linguistic diversities. The best examples of ancient architecture are Akshardham Temple, Delhi; Virupaksha Temple, Karnataka; KARLE Caves, Maharashtra; Ellora Caves, Maharashtra. Now we will move on to the cave architecture informations. The cave architecture is in India believed to have begun during the ancient time. These caves were used by Buddhist and Jain monks as places of worship and residence. Initially, the caves were excavated in the western India. Some examples of this type of cave structure are Chaityas and Viharas of Buddhists. The Great Cave at KARLE is also one such example, where great Chaityas and Viharas were excavated by hewing out rocks. The best examples of cave architecture are Mahabalipuram, Tamil Nadu; Ajanta Caves, Maharashtra; Baja Caves, Maharashtra; Bedse Caves, Maharashtra; Chittanavasal, Tamil Nadu. Next we are going to see about rock cuts. The rock cut structures present the most spectacular piece of ancient Indian art specimen. Most of the rock cut structures were closely associated with various religions and religious activities. In the beginning, remarkable Buddhist and Jain rock cut structures were built in the areas such as Bihar in the east and Maharashtra in the west. Numerous caves were excavated by the Buddhist monks for prayer and residence purposes. The best examples of this is Chaityas, prayer halls, and Viharas, monasteries. Inside these rock cut structures, windows and balconies and gates were carved as huge arc-shaped openings. Rock cut architecture occupies a very important place in the history of Indian architecture. The rock cut architecture differs from traditional buildings in many ways. The rock cut art is more similar to sculpture than architecture, as our structures were produced by cutting out solid rocks. Some prominent rock cut structures in ancient India are Chaityas, Viharas, and temples. Here are the best examples of rock cut architecture. Kailasa Temple from Ellora, Pancharats from Mahabalipuram, Barabar Caves from Bihar, Badami Cave Temples from Karnataka, and Ajanta Cave from Maharashtra. The last in the line of Indian architectural introduction is temple architecture. In ancient India, temple architecture of high standard developed in almost all regions. The distinct architectural style of temple construction in different parts was a result of geographical, climatic, ethnic, racial, historical, and linguistic diversities. Ancient Indian temples are classified in three broad types. This classification is based on different architectural styles employed in the construction of the temples. Three main styles of temple architecture are the Nagara or northern style, the Dravida or southern style, and the Vesara or mixed styles. The best examples of temple architecture are Brihadishwara Temple from Tanjavur, Jagadamba Temple from Madhya Pradesh, Sun Temple from Modhera, Konark Sun Temple from Orissa, and Chennakeshwara Temple from Karnataka. With this we have come to the introduction of Indian architecture lesson. We will be producing more videos on general awareness series like this in the coming days. Subscribe to our channel to get updated to those series of videos. Thank you.